Then on October 30th, 1987, the festival park was dedicated with appropriate festivity, both indoors at the festival hall and outdoors too. And it was, as Bob Gibson put it, paid for.
I've been asked to give you a report on our progress. And I can't tell you how pleasant it is tonight not to be up here showing slides or posters of the planning for the future, but simply to point out and say, here it is. It's finished. It's warm. It's paid for.
Racine County stages 85 festivals and celebrations a year, many of which have found the festival park and hall to be a perfect setting.
What was your experience with the
I would like
festival hall?
Yeah.
Why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown there? Well, good morning. Welcome back to Talking Racine. I'm Dr. Ken Jorgen, your host, and we've got a whole panel here this evening over on the far left there, which is no reference to your politics, Mr. Lumpkin. Okay. Ken Lumpkin, former county board supervisor and possibly county board supervisor again, former newspaper publisher. Seated next to Mr. George Myers of City Council public commentary period fame.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
And our lead statistician. And a special guest this evening, Miss Angel Lawrie.
Yes.
Who is the, and I pronounced that right, didn't I?
Yes,
Lawrie.
you did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
The founder and chief director and creative, force behind the Steel Doves.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which is a Steel Dove band here in Steel Drum Band here in town. And we wanted to bring you in tonight because you had an experience recently. You had a nice big concert down at Festival Hall, which we all attended.
Yes.
And, God, there was like 900 people down there.
Yes, even probably a little more than that. We were sold out.
Yeah, it was a great event. I know they had the bar going and snacks and everything. And, yeah, a two-part show, Act 1 and Act 2. The kids were great. It was a lot of fun. And, you know, we approached you shortly thereafter, and we thought, geez, you must have made a ton of money on that for the kids, because it's a charitable thing that you're running there. So the whole idea behind that concert was to raise funds for your effort with the Steel Drum Band. And what exactly do you do with the money when you raise money?
That is correct. Well, first of all, the whole idea of this concert was to raise awareness of the steel band, and the money all went to help bring drums into Racine, steel drums, because we would like to provide an after-school or a huge program for kids that are on the streets of Racine to be able to experience teamwork together and work in something positive. And I have to tell you, my heart was broken because when I saw Festival Hall, I got really excited, and I thought that was the perfect spot to do this.
It's a beautiful venue. Yeah.
It was big enough, and I wanted to do something to help Racine get a positive experience and something that we could reach out and tell everybody else about, and have something that we could claim to be ours with the steel drum, because with 100 steel drums we could have like a carnival. We could bring in money for the city. We could do all kinds of things.
Now, how come we don't have any steel drums washing up on the shoreline?
Yes, they're all handmade.
That's how they got started down in Trinidad.
Yes,
right?
they did. And it's very difficult to get them. I've been playing for 30 years, and they're expensive and it's hard. And the best way to do it is through funding like this, and to have concerts and write grants for them.
I'd like to just point out, too, that's the purpose of Festival Hall.
Okay.
It was put there so people like you could come over there and put concerts on like that. It was supposed to be something that the community would enjoy. It was built for the community, by the community, and that was the idea. And then you go someplace else,
Well, and
of course, one of the things we're going to discuss is why, but go ahead.
Yeah, you were around, you were on the county board back in the day, I believe, weren't you?
I wasn't on the county
before your
board,
time?
but I was one of the original members of the board of directors for the Festival Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, like you say, the intent was for it to be for the community. At first, it was very cultural, inspiring at first. We had the African Fest, we had Mexican Fest, we had the Italian Fest, Greek Fest. We had, I don't remember the exact number of festivals. But
well, somebody ran a number of 75 past me one year.
Right.
I don't know if that's right or not, but that's an incredible number of festivals.
And plus, you know, it's some history behind that, and we might can talk about it on another episode, but the people really came together. They bought bricks to finish the project, you know, so the community have an investment. So the community, it really should be for the community.
Right.
But
I got a brick for Christmas that year.
Yeah, but the cost has really been escalated to the
This is Founders Square at the festival site in Racine, Wisconsin. As you look around, you will see more than 7,300 bricks. Each brick represents a donation to help build Festival Park, and each brick carries the name of the donor or the name which the donor wished to honor. In a way, all these bricks represent this entire project in miniature. For just as it took all these bricks to make Founders Square, it took a lot of people from all walks of life working together with what seemed like an impossible dream, a reality. That dream today is known as Racine on the Lake, a $26.2 million recreational harbor, marina, and festival park with a 29,000 square foot festival hall, and all within 1 block of downtown Racine. None of this could have happened without grassroots support or the faith that Racine had in itself to turn things around.
What was your experience with the Festival Hall? Why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown there?
I would like to just say that one of the reasons that I chose Festival Hall is because I fell in love with Racine. You know, I've only been here a year, and I moved here because of the people and because of the city and because I think it's a beautiful place to live, and I really wanted to bring my talents of organizing an event to them and to help make it a better place. I really do love this place. And it seems like like I said before, my heart was broken because I don't want to put a negative light on our city or be a complainer, because I had so much love from all of our friends and supporters who came to the concert, but that whole organizing experience was not the best for me. The first meeting I went to was beautiful, and I felt like I was promised a lot of things and that it was going to be better than it was. But then as the process went on and we started organizing, I started seeing why other people maybe don't choose that place as a venue. And I'm not by no means trying to single anyone out or say anything, but I felt like I was kind of a burden the whole time that I was planning this. I was scolded many times for coming in during office hours.
Yeah, but wait. You were scolded for coming in during office hours?
Yeah, well, it's just like, their office hours are 9 to 5, and you go in to speak, and if there was an event going on or something, they were shorthanded or whatever. I was met with an attitude that wasn't the greatest, and I also got apologies for that later, but it still made it uncomfortable.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And other things little things that I think can be fixed are like we had the steel drum is a pretty elaborate setup, and I expected that they didn't really understand what that was. So when our labor was there to help us during the concert, I was asked if I wanted an extra setting of stage to add on, because they saw how neat the whole steel drum thing was. And I remember looking at the person who offered that to me, and I said, how much will that cost me? And he said, oh, nothing, we want to do this for you. And then at the end of the night, I was charged for that and told that wasn't the case. And, it was other things, like we had food. I paid extra money to have dinner for my crew, which I didn't have to do. That was my choice as part of my bill to feed my performers. But the food was made 2.5 hours before it was time to eat, so we got cold food, and it wasn't set out very long. And again, this is not a whining thing. This is things that I think that we can improve on, so that more people will use the facility.
That's what we're looking for, as things that could be improved. Now, let's switch to George for just a second. Now, like I said, I don't know if that number of 75 was correct, but as far as I remember, this festival hall used to be used much more than it is now. Is that correct?
Well, you're talking about this chart here. This is the one that's showing the usage of festival hall. I got 1 year. It was 2016 up from March of 16 to January 2017, and because there was
various uses. You mean?
There was exactly when festival hall was used and what it was for. And so I thought, well, let's chart it out. It's one thing to look at a list on a piece of paper, but let's see what it looks like. And when you look at it, now I'm going to fold this because I didn't get April, so I'm going to just leave that one because that shows empty, and there might have been some there. But this is like February's. The yellow, the thing that you see in yellow there, those are the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
That's your hot times. Where it's in the white, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And you can see there's some rental. There's Monday and Tuesday. There's Monday and Tuesday. But the weekends here were virtually empty. All right, and that's in February. Then you get into May and April, and it's equally empty. Yeah, it's very, very sparse. Now in this one, you're going to see a little bit more green there. And this one here is the Iron Man, which we've lost, by the way, now.
Right.
Yeah. And then this is Italian Fest. Now you talked about the 75 Fest. If those were all there, that's more than one a weekend. That's more than one a week. You would see green. You would just see green all across this chart. But when you start losing those, then it starts getting empty. Well, the accusation was that we were underutilizing. A lot of people feel that way. I found that when I was out talking to people on various other reasons. Festival Hall was brought up, and they really felt it's being underutilized. I know it's with regards to the arena. When we were talking about the arena, they said, heck, the Festival Hall isn't being used. What are we doing with the arena? That's another event center, type of thing. So people are aware of it, and I think they're right that it's underutilized. I have nothing to compare it with other than this year, but what I've heard from you and other people is that, and what you just said, Ken, it is greatly reduced in its utilization.
Well,
right now.
Have you got some numbers as to how much?
Yeah, now this, when you get into the chart, now Ken, you might know more than I do, but what I've been in there, it's mostly been when the Kiwanis is holding the pancakes or when there's voting going on. Yeah. And all I see is a great big room, and I guess there's some little offices along the side, some bathrooms.
And they have a room they call the green room. It's smaller, but it's usually for meetings and small
and that's where
gatherings.
the performers hang out,
that's
too.
That's where we ate.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, because I've seen some where there'll be a breakfast, like this little one here, on a Friday. There's 2 hours that it's used. That's for the whole weekend. And I'm presuming that would be something like Kiwanis or something like that. So they must be holding a meeting there someplace. But when I looked at got the labor costs out here, the total amount, there was full-time staff of $200,000. Now that's a lot of money to pay for somebody to just watch a great big room and a bathroom. That's now I'm sure there's more than one person, but how much work is it to actually run a great big room like that?
Well, let's ask.
And I would like to say something else about that. Okay, that was one of the things that aggravated me about this is they say that they have the labor for that, but then I had banners to put up, and they waited till the last minute to put them up, and I asked several times, please, 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 please. Finally, they went up, but they were so high up. I mean, they did them quickly, and they were so high up nobody could see them. So all of that work, all of that cost that my group put into buying the banners and trying again to help the community, it didn't help us at all. But then when it was ready for them to come down, they came down quickly.
Well,
But getting them up,
well, let me ask you now.
Yes.
I would assume that cleanup would be included in.
Well, no, the
cost.
200,000 is support is full-time staff. There's support staff labor. That's another $30,000. Then the next category is event staff labor. Now that sounds like what you were doing. That's $42,000. So that's like $800 a week. If there was something there every week, which there isn't. So I would say that there was probably somewhere around $2,000 worth of staff time that you got on the average for that.
Did you have to do the cleanup after your
no,
event?
No, they did that. And would that staff also include like the sound equipment? Like if you had
it says event staff, so I would say that would be the sound equipment. That would be the sound setting up, cleaning, taking down, cleaning out, that type of thing. That's what they use. It's probably just for events. In other words, if there's no event for the weekend, there's no charge. All right, but that was the event for 2016. And when you look at this, you see how many events there are. It's getting pretty narrow there. But that's $42,000 for all those events. Why are you spending 5 times that much for people sitting in offices?
Well, what's the total budget for a year?
The total, there's another $97,000. That's taxes and benefits. And then the total budget is $369,950. Let's say $370,000 for the year.
Yeah. Let's get back to Angel here and recount your experience a little bit.
Well, as far as the event staff, that was one of the questions that I had, because our sound technician came out to help us at least put the sound together beforehand, and he was there a long time, which I was very happy with. But he was also the one who added the stage on for me, and then I was told something different than what happened at the end.
And when you say a long time, what are you talking about? Is that like several hours?
Yeah, several hours. But then when the show started, we had no sound.
But even at $25
that's not
Yeah.
good for a concert.
But I will tell you, it kind of made my guest artist nervous. But I have to tell you, that was a big deciding factor for me on whether or not to return to Festival Hall, because I was so grateful in the beginning, because I was told, well, we're going to let you use the sound system. But then, you know, it didn't help me.
It wasn't working. Yeah.
It didn't work. I mean, they fixed it later, but it was there. We had all we paid for those hours, and then it didn't work, you know. Mm. And I'm not, like I said, you know, it made me sad. It wasn't something that I mean, those things are important when every minute counts. And
no, that's right. And I'm looking at it from a taxpayer's viewpoint, and I'm saying, why are we spending $42,000 when, you know, that's enough for someone to be there 40 hours a week, you know. Well, that'd be $20 an hour, maybe not quite 40 hours a week. But the point is that they were only there a couple hours, and this was, you know, just that event, and there's lots of vacant time when nobody's there.
That's right.
It's a real good question about how they're spending their money.
And it's the caring part, like you were saying about how you built Festival Hall. We did this as a community to help the community. Well, when I paid extra to have dinner for my performers and to show my guest artist off, who came all the way from Florida to be here, and, you know, show Pan off to Racine, he walked up to one of the people that are the event staff and said, "I just have to run out for a minute for a sound thing for our show. When I come back, can I eat?" And she said no. They didn't help him, so he didn't get dinner. And you know, this was the star of my show, and so that made me feel bad. And then the other thing is that I had to take my own tickets, and I thought, you know, all the event staff was there, and I was still at the door taking my own tickets, and I had a lot of jobs to do that night. And I mean, it was nice. I got to say hi to everybody.
I was kind of wondering about that, because when I got there, you were there taking tickets, and you know, we didn't have I don't think we had our tickets in advance, so I had to talk to you about getting them and everything. I'm thinking to myself, why is she here taking tickets? You got to have a million other things on your mind.
Even the tickets.
Speaking of tickets,
yeah.
why don't you relive that experience just a little bit?
Well, I'm gonna, you know, because I love everyone and I want to be fair. Part of the ticket situation was my fault too, because I guess I have to learn the right questions to ask. At the beginning, I was told that I, as the promoter, was in charge of my tickets and what I do. So I did give away quite a few tickets to our concert to Big Brothers and Big Sisters because it was a community event. And evidently, if you don't write comp on them, then there's a big nightmare with them. There's a balance to pay on each ticket, and there's they have to be a certain way. And then also, I was told that if I use Ticketmaster, that the fee would be very slight, and the ticket fees were so high that I had an influx of calls of people complaining that my $17 ticket had turned into a $30 ticket, and they wanted to come get one from me personally. And I also have to say that as I went around to my next event after I left Festival Hall, everybody, business owners everywhere, told me, this is not the way we work in Racine. You come and I'll be a ticket hub for you. I'll be a ticket hub for you. I'll be a ticket, because we can't afford Ticketmaster in Festival Hall. So I didn't know that. I was learning all this as I go. But I was really excited to bring, when I saw Festival, I thought, what a beautiful place.
Right.
And I can't believe that I'm even getting in here. And
I'm glad to hear that.
the meeting was so
We spent so much on that roof and paint, changing colors and all that.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Nice facility.
I'm glad it's beautiful.
I'm
Really should be more
curious.
utilized.
You mentioned 900 attended the event.
yeah.
Was the event successful?
Yes, the event was successful because it was very well organized, but it could have been, I could have had a lot more money to deal with had I not had all these little things happen.
So could you share with us
After our
Yeah.
expenses that we had to do outside, several $100s, but it should have been thousands of dollars.
Now I understand that when it comes to the food and
Yeah.
the beer sales,
Yeah.
that you don't get the.
Well,
you don't get,
see, that's the thing. It's, again, communication. Like, during the meeting, I was told that, my first initial meetings, that if I told people to drink at the bar and to have some food, that we would get a portion of those sales. But at the end, with the agreement, we did not receive anything.
Nothing. Wow.
no, that's amazing. You know, I don't have a lot of experience there. Go back 30 years, 40 years when
Yeah.
Pat Openberger was still coming up the
Yeah.
line. Some of you remember her.
Yes,
We used to have a little West Park Association of those people living around there, and we would have a beer concession because that's how we made the money.
Well, of course, yeah.
You know?
In Racine, how else are you going to make
Well,
money?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was like this thing in the park, and then we were trying to raise money for our neighborhood association, so we got out flyers and do all kinds of neat things, you know. And of course, we all worked for nothing, and the park was, I think we paid $50 or $100 for the park. That wasn't very much. But we did need that beer concession money, and I hear that the people going into Festival Hall can't get the beer concession.
And I have to tell
wait
you,
a minute.
yeah, our guests were paying $10 a beer, so I mean, it wasn't cheap. You know,
Oh,
it was expensive. It wasn't like
I'm glad somebody else
we've
bought
got
it
other
around.
people, and yeah, and I have to, you know, I was really I didn't pressure all that at the end. I was a little nervous too. Maybe I should have. Now that I look back at it, and as an organizer, my next experience, maybe I will ask more questions. But yeah, I think.
Well, I would just expect that somebody coming in and using a public facility like that for public good would have a better experience. And so
Yeah.
that's what we want to do, is identify some of the reasons why you didn't and let other people see what they are so they can be cautious if they go down there. Or we can adjust the procedures down at Festival Hall.
Well, I would like to say this to the people who make the decisions for Festival Hall. When someone comes to you and they're full of dreams and they're organized and they're excited, make them feel welcome.
Yes.
Because that was the part that bothered me. I think there was so much communication issue because I felt in the way all the time. Like I was
Right.
burdening them for being there. And I have to tell you, that's the number one reason why I won't go back. I'll work through everything. I'll work through finances, I'll work through programs, I'll work through problems. But if I don't feel like they're behind us and that I'm in a place of love, I'm not going back there.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So,
Well, it was a nice concert.
yeah,
It really was.
Thank you.
You
Thank
should have
you.
been there, Lumpkin.
I
Yes,
was there
you
in
should've.
spirit.
I don't think you were there either, were you?
No, I don't know what's going on there.
We had a good table, though. We had a good group of people at our table. You know, Talking Racine bought a table. So,
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Well, I had no idea what it was. I think the next time I'll see if I make sure I can get there if we're going to do that again. But and I'm still concerned. I'm from a taxpayer's viewpoint. I think that with $200,000, that's $4,000 a week. I think that's a lot to spend for people sitting around in an empty building, you know. And there's something going on wrong with the finances there. And I'm not quite sure what we're going to do about it. But Angel, and this is I'm not talking to you at this point.
Right.
It's more to Ken and the audience, and that is that we need to do something with Festival Hall. We have a little jewel there. I've never heard such nice words about it before.
Assessment.
Yeah, that's really great. It gave me a new perspective of what Festival Hall is, and I really appreciate that, Angel, that information. Now it's up to us to, as citizens and the people that are paying for it, to do something to let's make this thing part of what it's supposed to be. I mean, if it is that beautiful and that much of an attraction, let's make it that way.
My view is that one of the big problems is with the city council itself accepting that company and kind of not allowing other companies to make bid. There's no competition. So that company kind of do what they want year after year. The festival site is controlled by the city. It's really controlled by the city council. And those people, they seem to don't care.
Well, I'll tell you,
losing.
Somebody on the council did say we should have an evaluation, just a performance evaluation, to make sure that we're getting a good value for our dollar. And man, was there opposition just to the idea of taking a look at the contract, which I was surprised about.
Yeah, and we really need to, the best way to, in the free market system of competition, all that type of stuff, we really need to get some comparative things. It's hard to just take one group and say and evaluate them.
Yeah.
We need to go out and search and find some other people, and let's make some comparisons. Some other people. I mean, here's a venue where you don't have to pay any taxes.
Yeah.
All right. You don't have to even pay a mortgage. There's no mortgage payment to make. There's no utilities. I mean, the new roof and the painting and all that type of stuff is borne by the taxpayers. In fact, you look through here, and there's very little in expenses. So all you've got this nice venue here, this beautiful building. Surely somebody can run that thing and not be charging the taxpayers $250,000 a year to support it, and have people that can come in there and have fun, and even the people that rent it have a really great experience.
Well, when you consider that liquor sales and food sales were none of that was shared with the
I find that amazing. Salmonorama said the same thing when we talked to them.
All that much money that we subsidize them every year.
Yeah,
I mean,
they still run short $250,000, $243,000.
Yeah,
that's playing politics. I mean, it's no way in the world that they should be have to be subsidized by the taxpayers. You know.
You wouldn't think so.
When they get concession money, I mean that's where we made our money. The West Park Association. That's where Salmonorama made. You know, they have these big prizes. They make it off.
Hey, if you're selling beer for $10 a bottle, you know, and I'm
making something out of it.
The people that were down there were not being skimpy with their drinking either. You know, we had a couple of rounds at our table, and we were. You know, we weren't drinking heavy, but
you bring in groups to run your organization in order to make money,
right?
Not for the taxpayers.
And the people running it, are doing it for free too. You know, this is fundraising. This Angel didn't get a salary.
Right.
You know, I had asked her before if she got a salary, and she burst out laughing.
Well, any of the festivals that were held down there too. You know, like if it was Italian Fest or whatever, usually there was churches involved, and there'd be all kinds of volunteers down there working.
When we did West Park Association, it was all voluntary. The idea is we would chip in our time. We would give this concession. We put a lot of time into planning it and promoting it for free. But the idea was all the profits, anything that was left over, would go to the club, and that because we were trying to build up our neighborhood, you know, and it was that type of thing. You know?
I'm just curious. How much do one of those drums cost?
Yeah, for the leads, $1,500. The double seconds are $2,500, and the cellos are $3,000, and the bass are $2,000 to $3,000. And that doesn't include the stands and cases because they're all handmade.
Yeah.
It's still a very handmade craft.
Right.
But when I first started, there was like 4,000 steel bands in the area back in 1986, and I'm in my 31st year now, and there's over 40,000 steel bands just in the U.S.
40,000 bands?
Yes. But the reason I love working with the steel drums is because it transforms a community of people. Not only could I bring the kids a successful music experience, but when they get a taste of that experience and they feel special, it goes into the family unit too, to the parents, to the people who are feeling a little hopeless right now, a little under. And I've watched whole communities, and I've watched them help each other get jobs, help each other move up. I mean, they get the kids to the rehearsal. It just changes the dynamic, it gives them hope. And
76 trombones has something to it.
Yeah, it does.
Music Man wasn't just a movie.
And I had big dreams for the downtown area, but when the Christmas concert came around after our big October concert, I had to make the choice to move to Sturtevant to go to the Fountain Banquet Hall, which they treated us like gold.
Yeah.
I mean, from the very beginning, and they were even checking to make sure that if not enough people came, that they could lower my rent.
That
was just and I mean, I felt more welcome. That's what I'm saying. It's the whole idea of what you want it to be. You create the atmosphere, and I think it should be fair, and I hope Festival Hall would make money, but I think they should treat the organizers with more dignity.
There's got to be a way to do it. There's got to be a way to do it.
Of course. Now, how many members of your organization, of your band, is it, and how diverse is that band?
Okay, so right now we have 15 members in the Steel Doves, but at that concert, I have to say something. We invited another band from Columbus, Ohio to join us, who were all inner city kids. So I could show both sectors, because in our Steel Doves, we have every age from 9 to 70, and in Columbus, yes, we do. And in Columbus, those kids directly were kids that were in underprivileged homes, and so I wanted to show that the energy was the same, and that we got the same kind of product, and it was beautiful. And yes, to answer your question about diversity, the steel drum appeals to everyone, and I have students right now I have not just the Steel Doves as one steel drum band in my program, but I have kids that are Hispanic, kids that are Indian, kids that are Mexican, kids that are African American, kids that are white, kids that are, so I have all of the cultures.
That's good.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the band can transcend all those cultures. We can play all that music on there, and I have a lot of respect for Trinidad and for where it came from. It was an instrument of peace that promoted peace.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And so, yes.
Well, listen, thank you
Yes,
so
thank
much.
you very much.
I mean, it's been a delightful,
Yes.
a delightful
Yes.
last episode. I learned from my producer earlier that this actually is going to be the last episode.
Whoa, no.
What?
No.
No?
I said there are people at City Hall that wish this was the last episode.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, nobody listens to those clowns. We'll see you next Monday. Thanks for being here. Tell us your name and the name of the organization here.
Sure. My name is Angel Lawrie, and these are the Steel Doves. This is Racine's first community steel band, and we're very excited to be here, and we're hoping to show Racine how beautiful the steel drum art form can be.
How did you come up with the name Steel Doves?
I like that name. Well, steel obviously for the steel pan or steel drum, and then the doves for two reasons. One, because we want our band to be a sign of peace, for world peace through music, and also because Shannon over here was one of the founders of the steel band. She wanted the community band to be here, her and Olivia together, and Dove happens to be Shannon's middle name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you named the band after yourself, sort of.
Yeah.
Good move. Now you're going to have a concert coming up on
Friday, October 6th at Festival Hall.
Nice.
And we're really excited about it. We have some guest bands from Columbus, Ohio coming to play with us, and a guest artist named John Patty from Florida, who's going to also play pan with us, and some pan players from Indiana and Pennsylvania, Tracy Wharton and Diane Thomas. Those are all
Can't say that I know them, but I'm sure they're famous in,
they're all
the
steel
community,
drum
right?
friends. Well, the steel
Now,
drums
this is
are,
going to be totally steel drums. It's not.
well, no, it's going to be steel drums and percussion and vocals.
Okay.
So we're going to have some singing, and I'm also going to play the marimba.
What is the marimba?
It is a keyboard percussion instrument made out of rosewood. So
Oh,
it's very
really?
beautiful.
That
Yes,
sounds
very
nice.
beautiful.
How many people have you got in the group here?
We have 12 in our group, and then we also have a guest drummer, Mike back here, who's our drum set player. I don't think we're going to ever be able to do another performance without him now. But
Well, that's a great way to have a set of drums like that. I mean, that's a lot easier than carrying a bunch of like a trap around.
Yes,
That's all electronic, right?
Yes, it's an Alesis, and the reason that I use that is because when I'm not working with the steel doves, you can see that on the pans we have some logos that say Angel Pan Camps. I actually take these drums around the United States and work with kids who have learning disabilities, learning differences, emotional issues that they want to work through, and we use the pans to help with music therapy.
How many notes are there?
I have 2.5 octaves on this.
2.5 octaves.
So. I have 2.5 octaves.
Well, you're pretty deft.
Yeah, thank you. This is my 30th year.
Now, where did you say the concert was going to be again? My memory.
Festival Hall.
Festival Hall. And tickets are?
They're $17.50 on Ticketmaster, or they can also contact me directly for tickets as well.
And how do they do that?
They can go to angel.lawrie1@gmail.com, or they can call Festival Hall, or they can just get on Ticketmaster under Angel Pan Camps.
Do you have tables available too? So
We do.
a
We
group
have
can buy?
well, until the 20th of September, so we need to hurry if we're doing that. You can sponsor a table and buy 10 tickets for $180. You get 10 tickets, a table of your own, and then we advertise your company, and you have a reserved sign on the table with your company or your name on it. And I want to remind everybody that this concert is to bring more steel drums to Racine. We want to have the largest steel band in the United States right here.
No, you're kind of ambitious, aren't you?
On Lake Michigan. For kids, for music therapy, for Angel Pan Camps. I want to have a huge program where I can reach like 300 kids.
Oh, yeah.
But the kids of Racine, you know, I love Racine, and I think that this city needs something to be joyous about and have a lot of recognition for that's new again.
Yeah,
And
I
the kids,
I agree with you. I
the
think that's
kids
a
are
good idea.
excited, and the people here deserve that. They work together, they support each other. There's a lot of love here, and I would really like to bring something really positive to them. And
Good.
And we practice every Tuesday night, 7 to 9, at Racine Community Acupuncture in Harmony Hall in Franksville, right guys? Beautiful place. And we've got an empty set of drums over there if anybody gets the itch.
There you go. Well, thanks so much. You going to play another number for us?
Sure we are. We're going to play a journey piece for you called Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. The Steel Doves.
Sorry, dude. I want to take this, yes, but it's not true.
Okay, here we go. You guys ready?
Almost.
We're just going to go right into it. Minus one. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.